you nervous, Mike, at this
Yes,
point? Yeah, Mr. Angry was the persona.
I just cared a lot, and I played with a chip on my shoulder, and I wanted to always prove people wrong.
If you saw Eddie now, hug, handshake, head down, walk by.
What I would say about Eddie, he was an absolute fucking genius in terms of tactically, technically.
What was your relationship like playing together?
Ups and downs.
We had a rough relationship, didn't we? Can't get in trouble anymore, can I? So I'm not very good at faking it, so I would struggle. First carry I made, and I'd hit this line, called for it, I got it. I was like, this is my moment. See this massive gap. Boom. It was like literally hitting an oak wardrobe. It was like, it was back in both.
Welcome to International Rugby.
I need a piss now. And a shit.
Alex Payne trying to keep the side going forward. Haskell takes it on now with just relentless chat. And there's Tindall to add the finishing touch of glamour and World Cup winning stories. A dominant display by the good, the bad and the rugby.
Hello Dream Team, welcome along to episode 2 of season 6 of The Good, the Bad and the Rugby. What a start we had to the new season. Peter O'Mahony last week, 250,000 long-form views and listens. Welcome back everybody. Great to have you with us. Your likes and positive comments make an enormous difference to team morale. We'll ignore the negatives, but we had some very nice feedback, James.
Well, you don't ignore them, which is the most important thing.
I like sentiment.
You go in and check them out and then reach out to them and speak to them and sharpen them up. Some agree, some don't.
Yeah.
We've had some amazing feedback, as Alex has said. Spiffy, 1986, really good interview. He was more open and chatty than I thought he'd be, which is what I thought. It's amazing when you give someone a spotlight and let them do media.
Yeah.
But it's very considered. At Black and Willow. Love this man. This is the most I've heard from Peter O'Mahony ever. Surprisingly articulate for a man who let the rugby do the talking for the most part. Ireland to the bone, Munster to the marrow. Love it.
Love that one.
And then Dennis Deegan, 1200. These guys have made the ultimate fuck up. They set the bar too high with this interview and will struggle for the rest of the season to get close to it. To be fair, a brilliant guest, well interviewed, a Leinster fan.
That's what GBR does, brings everybody together.
Synergy.
Thankfully, though, we haven't got to wait very long for our next superstar guest. We'll introduce him in just a moment or two, but we obviously wouldn't be able to get guests like Peter O'Mahony, and our guest today as well, without our incredible sponsors, Continental Tyres, who are the official tyre partner to England Rugby, engineered for victory. Their award-winning tyres are built to perform no matter the conditions, which leads us on to our guest today. Before we introduce him, I'll come back to a friend of the show, Jonny May.
Thank you very much. Tough act to follow with Peter O'Mahony, so
Tis a bit.
we'll try our best.
We will indeed. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Six games in.
Yeah. 6 games in, a bit of a second season syndrome, not disastrous, not amazing. We've won 2, lost 4, early stages. We'll move up onwards and upwards.
Are you scoring tries?
I've played 3 and haven't scored a try yet.
Right. Last time you came on, you said you didn't score a try. It didn't take long for us to then turn that around for you.
Well, why not I double
weekend.
down?
If a winger doesn't score a try, are you even a winger?
They're useless. No, I will score next game. I have to.
And welcome along to your former back three partner in crime, a former teammate of yours as well, Mike Brown. Leicester Harlequins at the weekend. Who are you supporting?
Who was I supporting? I just enjoyed watching.
Who are you supporting?
I had interests for different reasons for different both teams. So.
Surprisingly comfortable on the fence. Very nice to have you on. How is life with you?
Yeah, it's good, thanks. Yeah. Getting used to a new way of living and navigating that journey. As Haskell know what that's like. You know, you kind of think you've got it, then you haven't, and it's ups and downs and working things out and everything in between. So yeah, just
What's your day today?
So I'm currently in a full-time role at a finance tech company in the city, director of high performance.
Grown up.
In the performance space, so broadly it's, you know, from coming up with systems and processes around performance and talent management to some performance coaching with individuals to helping with the culture and environment as well. So working towards
Are you teaching all these people just be very, very angry at all times? Super competitive,
aggressive and confrontational,
and then
very 2025. And they never want to do what you say.
And they're very calm off the field. Don't challenge anyone.
Yeah, no, not quite that. Okay. Look, I've lived and breathed performance for 21 years, and it's all been about myself. But now I'm passionate about kind of using that experience and that perspective, as well as some of the academic learning that I've had and experience I've had in rugby. Being led by different people, being in different environments to help other people, individuals, teams thrive in whatever industry. So that's what I'm looking at doing. And yeah, I'm passionate about it and enjoying that space at the moment.
Good. Brilliant to have you on. There is a lot to talk about over the course of your career and obviously with how things potentially are shaping up for England ahead of the Autumn Nations Series as well. But we are going to start today with the news that I'm sure stopped most of you in your tracks as it did us here, because on Monday, GBR was saddened to hear the awful news that the former England captain, Lewis Moody, has been diagnosed with MND. It is a desperately cruel disease. A lot of rugby fans will already know a lot about it, given the circumstances around Doddy Weir, Ed Slater, Rob Burrow, of course, across in Rugby League 2. Funnily enough, Mike actually mentioned it on Friday. We were up at Glen Eagles doing something together, and he said there's going to be some really bad news coming out on Monday, and it is one of the 03 crew, and it's one of the really good guys. And I didn't ask, he didn't tell, it wasn't his news to share, but when it transpired that it is Lewis, and I heard it on the radio this morning, I recognised his voice. I cannot believe it is him. You played alongside him, you played against him. It is utterly shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's terrible. I think because it is one of the most unforgiving diseases that you can have. You know where the journey ends up. Obviously people fight it in different ways. It takes different timelines, but it is horrific. And it takes man mountains, athletes, warriors, teammates, friends, and family to a place where that person is unrecognisable at the end of it, and it's sad, and there's no known cure. But you got to understand that. I saw other teammates talk about it. Lewis is here. He is. He's going to fight it. He will be an amazing spokesman for it. Yeah, it's just devastating because it's one of the good people, and unfortunately, that's what diseases and life does. It often shits on the good people and lets the fuckheads get away with it, and that's unfortunately what the case.
You didn't play with him for England, but you'd have played against him many, many times. What was your reaction when you heard the news?
Oh, it's just heartbreaking, isn't it? He was obviously an inspiration on the field, absolute legend in an England shirt and what he's done in the game. But I've got no doubt he'll be an inspiration of how he deals with this, how he fights it, because of the person he is, and he's a gent. He's one of the good guys. I saw him at the last lot of England internationals, and I was with my wife, and he came over, and he was just so nice, respectful, had a great conversation. He had time to speak to my wife and introduce himself, and he was with his beautiful family as well. So my heart goes out to them and how they're going to deal with it. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, rugby does tend to almost be at its best in circumstances like this, and I'm sure we'll come on to some of the challenges around the game, but I hope that there will be an enormous groundswell of support for him. I know that the 03 boys have set up their own, their trust and foundation. They're trying to raise money. They've now got a proper purpose to get out there and to raise this. But does it put a few things in perspective for you? Is someone still playing the game?
No, it's just tragic news. It was difficult. It was on the news this morning, and what you can pick up pretty quickly what's going on. But then to have to see him with his wife sat and explaining that to the camera, and obviously having seen with Ed Slater at Gloucester what he's just been through, and it's bitterly cruel. And he was one of my idols growing up. That 03 clang of world champions, Mad Dog. It's hard to accept that a disease can get a hero of a man like Lewis Moody is, and everybody's will I'm sure get behind him. The rugby community will show up again, and that's all that can happen now. And research, investment, study, and try and support the people with this illness as best as we possibly can.
Yeah. Well said, fellas. As we've mentioned already, desperately sad news. I know there will be a huge amount of effort now that comes in behind Lewis with his fundraising efforts. Interestingly, Jordan Murphy and Leon Lloyd, who I know two great mates of his from his Leicester days, have already set up a GoFundMe page. That is ticking up really nicely. We'll put the link in the episode description box if you'd like to contribute. And we are going to commit £20,000 from the Black Eye Rugby Fund as soon as Lewis's fund is set up. So that will be going straight over from the Black Eye Rugby Fund. It is exactly why we started this gin. It is exactly why the good people who've already bought a bottle want the funds to be raised and want the funds to be deployed. So that will go straight in as soon as Lewis is set up. And that is just the start of it. I know everybody across the game will be doing their bit. But £1 going over from our pot to Lewis's as soon as we possibly can, and goes without saying that we are sending Lewis and his friends and family an enormous amount of love from all of us at GBR, and we will be there to help wherever we possibly can. awful news. And I certainly think it puts a lot of things into perspective. But let's move on to today's guest. We've said hello already. 21 seasons. I cannot believe it is 21 seasons in professional rugby. 72 caps for England, 2 Six Nations titles, 2 Prem Rugby titles, and the only Englishman to have ever been named Six Nations Player of the Championship. If your house was on fire, which of those would you grab on the way out?
2012 Prem win with Quins was a special one because of the group of players we had. We'd grown up together, good English core of players with some experienced heads chucked in like Nick Easter, Nick Evans. And we had good fun on and off the field. And it was the first in Quins history, so it was special.
Are you missing life in the jockstrap and the boots, or are you really happy to have put it in the potting shed?
I'm good. I'm not missing it at all.
Yeah.
You look very well.
Appreciate it. Thanks, mate.
You look really well styled. Got the little rolly, got the old kettle on.
Appreciate
got
it.
these sneaks, fitted trousers, little cashmere.
Yeah.
You're looking good.
You look good. New lid, new teeth.
Yeah,
looking well. Trimmed down, aren't you?
Yeah, Lee. Yeah, guilty.
good.
But it seems to see you enjoying it.
Yeah, no, I don't miss it. I don't miss the wrestling that we were going through with Michael Checker, the Leicester contact sessions and the constant kind of grind was what wore me down in the end, the mentally rather than physically. I kind of walked away all right. I watched Hask walk into the building today and I thought I got out at the right time because he was not moving well.
Did you leave? Do you feel you left the game through the front door with a thanks very much indeed, or do you feel you sort of sidled out through the side entrance, just that's me done and quiet time in the car on your way home?
Full credit to Leicester, I have to say, like they made it as good an exit as it could be for someone who wasn't involved as much as I like. Going out with some absolute legends of the English game and Leicester, like they've made me feel part of that, and gave me the best send off as I could have had, I think. And Michael Checker allowed me to have one little 20-minute cameo off the bench against Newcastle after we had a chat, and I was a bit like, any chance of having a little run out before I finish? And he gave me that, which was nice. Got to run out with my son and have some family in the crowd, because otherwise it would have been just a bit tough finishing them. But I can't complain. They looked after me really well.
Were you emotional at the end of it all, or were you sort of relieved in some ways?
Yeah, I wasn't. I thought I would be emotional, but I really wasn't. So it was a bit like, yeah, it's time. I'm ready. Mentally, I'd ground to a halt. Not just doing all the stuff I'm talking about to be able to perform, but all the sessions, and I had the commute from Surrey up to Leicester as well every week. On top of that, it was a lot.
It's quite a lot of thinking time in the car. That
it is when you're not playing, you're not selected, or the season before when I was playing a bit and we lost a couple, the drive home after games, as you can imagine, when you're in your own thoughts and you're not, you're going through the different,
especially your own thoughts.
Yeah, you can imagine it was dark. It was dark couple of hours on the M1. So yeah, it was tough by the end, and I was kind of hanging on.
You'd obviously been Quins as a one person team, really. That was always them. When you left them and went elsewhere, that was probably more of the heartbreak. Was it leaving Quins than the other stuff?
100%. Yeah, I'd been through that massive heartbreak. Yeah. And then it was probably easier as well because I had a period after Newcastle where for 10 months I didn't have a club. And then
what did you do in that time?
So just networking, just trying to find, I applied for normal jobs.
Didn't you do some, I remember chatting, didn't you do some agency exams?
I
applied for assistant academy director at Southampton Football Club.
That's right.
And I think I only got the interview through a connection that I'd made in that time. So they gave me an interview and it was the most, not bizarre, but like mental thing I've been part of. So I got an email like the day before, do this presentation, which is not my bag anyway, for 20 minutes over about certain different topics to do with the academy. I was like, okay, managed to get that in place. Turn up. They're like, right, you're going to start the presentation now, but before that, just to let you know, we're going to role play as you go through the presentation in certain situations. So we're going to stop you. We're going to ask you to role play to deal with these situations, and then you'll carry on. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I start this presentation, I get into the flow, about 5 minutes in, someone's calling this phone. So I answer the phone, and it's an agent to do with a player. And I'm like trying to role play, they're all staring at me. There's like 3 or 4 of them on the panel. I'm like trying to deal with this situation. I think it was about a player that they wanted to sign, and there was disagreement around the percentages and all this sort of stuff. So I had to like go through that. And then another time, the club secretary walked in, and one of the host families had kicked off about one of the players. So I had to deal with that. And then the other one was an email. They're like, oh, there's an email for you, and you have to like read it out. And I was just like, this is so bizarre to me. I've never been through an interview, and I'm like, there's 3 things going on here, trying to do a presentation. By the end of it, I was just like, it can't all be like this.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get the job, but it was a great experience.
It's mad.
Just things like that.
You did that as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then getting Leicester was another thing. I was watching Leicester on a Friday night. I can't remember who it was against them. Freddie Burns was playing at fullback because Freddie Stewart was going into England camp. And Freddie Burns went down like he'd been absolutely shot. Turns out he just had a dead leg. But off the back of that, I just messaged Wiggy because I'd seen him, I think, a couple of months before, and I just said, and he'd taken over from Steve.
Yeah.
I was like, I've just seen Freddie go down. Hopefully he's not bad.
Hopefully. Yeah.
But if he is, I'm fit, available. I'd carried on the train. I played for Barbars a couple of months before. So if you want to look at that, the film that I played in those games, then have a look at that. But if there's any opportunity, just let me know. I'm massively keen. Got back to me, we'll look at it, and got a phone call from him, and
Really
went for a week's trial. I was like 37 at the time. I'd go for a week's trial. I was like, what is going on? I was driving to Leicester. I pulled over at one point when I was about 10 minutes away. Just like sat there like, what the fuck am I doing? Like so nervous.
Really?
Go for a trial.
Did you find that
shitting myself?
Really?
Because I'd only been at Quins really. I've been in Newcastle for like a year. There's still that perception around who you are, and obviously lads are going to have that perception. I probably called them certain things in a game, acted a certain way, as you guys all know.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, what are they going to think of me? And I walked in, and they were just all staring at me. They didn't say much. They're quite a tough bunch to start with, Leicester, aren't they? As you'll know. But if you go in with the right attitude and stuff, you can win around pretty quick. But it was I was so nervous.
Really?
In the session, I was getting bombed by Pollard and things like that. It was just carnage, mate.
Well, just like what spiral bombs,
Spiral bombs, because they were getting ready for their game, and I was just underneath it, just praying I'd catch it.
Where
to
did
get
you
back.
find the enthusiasm, the interest, the heart to get back into it again?
I knew I wasn't done. Like
Really?
I knew when I left Newcastle, I was still starting every week. Mentally in that 10 months, it was like, surely it can't end like this.
Really?
Surely it can't end with just leaving Newcastle, passing the age of the North, just getting going back
every week.
Just like,
because it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know what you believe, but it doesn't matter. Kind of, I know it wasn't a financial thing, but it doesn't matter sort of how much money you're paid in sport. If you're winning, that means that can make a difference to everything. If you're losing badly, and you're losing because you're not going to be able to win, you haven't got the resource, things aren't going well, and you're just getting hammered, that can send you sideways, can't it?
Yeah, it was a weird one, Newcastle. So I went in, and it was a good time for me to kind of, because I've been in place for so long, like 18 years, you kind of seen a certain person in that environment, the person that's come through the academy, they just see you as that, with me, I guess, grumpy sort of person,
Is that accurate?
Sometimes, yeah, because I cared. I wanted us to win all the time. I wanted us to be doing the right things. I had some frustrations at Quins around the environment, and it's very much enjoy each other's company and have loads of fun. But for me, sometimes it's you got to flip that switch, and it's like, right, we need to focus here, and we need to be physical in training, or we won't be in the weekend. And it's all well and good playing a lovely brand of rugby, which is amazing to play in, but there's other sides of the game which you need to do if you want to have a consistent winning habit. So I'd have those frustrations, but it was great going to Newcastle. We actually started off all right. I think we were maybe top 6 up until halfway through the season. We had some good wins away at Exeter and things like that. We were doing really well. We had a really good team. We had internationals in there, Gary Graham, people like that. And it was a brilliant group of lads. Like I have to say, like excellent group of lads, like real tight. Really enjoyed time there. But then there was a switch in the season midway through where we started to lose, and the old things started coming, and then the belief goes, and then the leadership come back on top of the team and start.
Rain comes in. Rain always comes in. Newcastle.
Not just the weather from the coaches and the leadership, without getting too much into it, and then that belief and the confidence just gets sucked out of you.
Could you push back on the leadership in your role, in your age and your experience?
We tried to do that in the right way. I tried to kind of replicate what we did at Quins in the gust of time when he left, kind of taking a bit more ownership and responsibility ourselves. And that's a completely different story of how we kind of turned that around with Quins for that second Prem win with the players mainly. I'm trying to replicate that at Newcastle with the leaders there, and they were really enjoying it, starting to take more ownership and responsibility. But I'm not sure the guys in charge there liked it too much. They kind of wanted to be in charge. So that was probably my downfall in a way.
Do you think that cost you
maybe
more time there?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know without speaking to them, but I think so.
Who was it? Dean Richards and
Dean Richards, Dave Walder were the two that were the tough to.
They're not traditionally. But did you have Dean? You had Dean at Quins, did you? Or was it before?
Yeah. So I had Dean at Quins, and I think that's how the Newcastle kind of connection came about. So I was really looking forward to getting back to work with Dean again.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't end well. And we were doing it the right way as players, keeping them involved in that, but just trying to show that we want to take more ownership and responsibility. But when we did that, and if things didn't work, it was a bit like, oh, we told you. And it's like, no, we're in this together. We're not against you. It's not us and you. Yeah. We're trying to do this together. And then we'd lose a few, and then Dean would have us in on a Sunday and start hammering us. And Dave Walder was he wasn't great with some of the players, like Radwan, would struggle with his confidence, and that wasn't helped by the way they would speak to him and things like that. And yeah, it was tough. But again, it was a good eye opener into what I'm in now, that performance space around different environments and learning about how things are done.
What did you learn?
It's that balance of when to push, when to pull. I feel like environments in rugby are too, maybe it's in all sports, are too lean on that stress, that, constant stress is not good for you. We talk about it in everyday life all the time. But then in rugby, it's there every minute of every day. It's a stress. You're getting managed, you're getting looked at, you're getting analysed, feedback from all, angles, cameras, GPS, communication. There's all this stuff going on. But when, you got to learn when to push, when to pull back, how to treat different people. I think people and environments have evolved now.
Yeah.
People need and want different things as well. So you have to evolve with that.
To each of you, who was the best coach you played under, or director of rugby, who, when the pressure came on, stuck to what you're saying? Who have you played under, Jonny, when the heat got turned up, handled it?
Eddie wasn't affected by exterior.
Was or wasn't?
Was not.
But a lot of people would contradict that and contrast that.
I'd say we just worked. We got trained really hard, and that was that. Like, even the World Cup final Tuesday, we were doing shuttles on that. Like, we're not going to get fitter the Tuesday before a World Cup final after 5 months of a pre-season, X amount of games. Other coaches are affected. It's interesting. It's every team seems to, like Hass says, it would be interesting for somebody to come in and say, like, have the courage or the ball just to flip it on its head, and just as an experiment or just to see, because a lot of teams do have a very, very similar program. Like, they lift a lower body on a Monday, and then do some clarity on a Monday. Then it's an absolute go to the well on a Tuesday. Day off, fast, like got to go fast on a Thursday. You've got to run fast. You've got to hit your night, and then team run. It's all very similar. So there is probably a space for somebody to do it very, very differently, but it doesn't seem that somebody has got the courage or the insight to do that yet. Because if it doesn't work, they'll look stupid.
Yeah. Who were the two coaches that you'd say that you had most respect for when the going got tough?
I think the Gatland Sean Edwards era under Worcester, Craig White, and then Paul Strigeon, in regards to doing things completely their own way, bucking the trend, short training sessions, positivity, balance, knowing when to go hard, when to rest, when recovery, looking after players, and Eddie. Those two eras, for me, we won the most trophies, won the most games, had the best time. Look, for every person that has a really good environment, under Gatland and Sean Edwards, there's disgruntled players that were on the other end of it. For everyone who loves Eddie, there are people that don't love Eddie. Calling out Marlon Yard or Ellis Genge, saying that we'll get a gold-plated BMW. If you want to be a fucking rapper, you can fuck off, get out of the squad. If you don't want to be here, if you don't want to keep your time, if you don't want to behave, if you don't want to do the discipline, we don't have to be here. I'll book you a taxi now. You can fuck off. With Ellis in particular, he said that initially. Dylan had to go, no, it's a test. It's a test. Eddie came to my house, retired me in my living room, tears in his eyes, and then I got back and played again. It's all part of that. You've got to be strong enough to do that. Some players aren't, and also some players do get treated unfairly. Just like as humans, I have treated people in my life, in relationships I've had, or meeting people, got it wrong. I think the most important environment is one where you do get the balance, but you have to understand that everyone's human. That's why referees get stuff wrong, and some players they love to talk to, some players they hate because it's humanity.
Yeah.
It's probably why I'd never want to be a coach, is because you can do all the right things and still lose.
Yeah.
Even going back to my last Friday night, we played Nevers away and lost. We've lost the last 3 games on Glen, and we lost the week before to Dax, and that was the home games were important in our league. And instead of doing the Monday blame meeting, which we were all expecting and people were nervous about, we did like a karaoke in French. And then on
what did you say?
I didn't really understand the rules or
right. You surprised me.
or know the lyrics to any of the songs.
Right.
But it was probably better for team morale. You think this is the right thing, good for team morale. And then on the Tuesday, the flogging day, we do units, the whistle blows, we get in a bus, we go laser tag. Team meeting on the Thursday before the game, everybody has to have a beer. And then we go and we still lost. So like, do you know what I mean? Like it looked like they'd all made the effort, and you can do all the right things and still lose sometimes. And that's what's so tricky about rugby. You think back to Eddie making us do shuttles. Imagine the story: England do shuttles on the Tuesday after 5, and they win the World Cup final. That's how you do it. There's no ingredient list. But I do think last point is just, I do think to like environments I've heard of that have probably had it is good. And I think that Saracens team, when they were flying, like it just seemed like they had the balance right. Like they were going on, they had money to spend, but like they were going on trips and the families got treated well. The training seemed cool. Like that's probably what I've heard of. They had a good list of ingredients and they got it together at the right time and they had a lot of success. Yeah.
The thing is as well, like we all see performance as the end result of winning a game, winning trophies, but sometimes there's more to the performance. There's the environment that you create that allows people to thrive and get better and develop, and people want to be part of. There's the longevity and sustainability of that. And then there's the trophies and the actual winning. You know, only one team can win something at the end of the season in any given competition. So you can't always just measure it on that. I would go a little bit against what they're saying about Eddie, because I have different perceptions of what you're saying. I had the side where I was valued and wanted every week when he was selecting a team, and had a good long period with him where he kind of left me alone and didn't hammer me too much. But then for whatever reason, that shifted into he didn't want me in the team and he didn't want to select me. And then you get the other side of Eddie, which is
when you
really
say for whatever reason, did you ever work out what the reason was?
I think he just wanted to go a different way in terms of the way he's playing. He wanted a bit more of what he perceived as an attacking fullback, I think, reading between the lines. Again, we talk about honesty, in terms of Michael Checker. I think Eddie could have been honest around what he was seeing and what he wanted, instead of just communicating certain things in a certain way and confirmation bias in terms of he had a certain idea in his head, and if as soon as I did that in training or in a game, he'd be like, "Oh, that's why I'm not picking you." And you're like, "That's the only time I've done it in months." But that's kind of the way he was. But I just, I witnessed and experienced certain ways he would talk to me, but also other people, the way he would berate certain people in a squad. And yes, I understand what you're saying around you need to find out who the tough ones are, but are they allowing them? Are they allowing to be developing and
what I meant when I said about who stuck to their guns, like I experienced two sides of Eddie. I was probably the other way around, Brownie. Like at the start, I was tested and messaged late at night and in and out the team and all sorts of craziness. And then I had a really long stretch of being left alone and treated well. But what I meant was his consistency to being inconsistent with how he was just mental with players. Any given time, a handful of players were
getting
a tough time.
And that's the constant stress we're talking about, which we say in normal life isn't healthy.
And on top of that, like you knew the week's training was going to be the week's training, and it was going to be tough.
But that's what I mean about the fact that Eddie was flawed. Like he's a bloke, and he would have, It
was the stuff with the staff as well. I looking back and reflecting on it now, you're in it at the time, it's a bit of a laugh. But it's not good. The amount of turnover staff was for a reason. They hated being there. And for them, I'm sure the biggest thing for them in their career was not playing but working for England, just like us playing for England. It's their chance to pull on the red rose without being a player. And then they have to leave, or they're pushed out, or they're berated in a certain way, which I think they struggled with.
What I certainly learned about environments with Eddie, or high performance environments, is not everyone in life is able to be successful, right? But you don't have that understanding, or you have that innate belief in yourself that you are destined for success. It's very hard when you are presented with the fact that you have probably reached your limit on ability. And sometimes I think with rugby in particular, because you're doing well at the Premiership, you then get to the top level. You think you deserve it. You think you should be there. Unfortunately, not everyone's good enough. Same things with the staff in aspects, in terms of not all of them are good enough. But I think there is that balance, which I said about kind of that own personal frailty of maybe going too hard at staff, like you said, maybe going too hard at players, getting that wrong. But I don't think there's any environment they would get it perfectly right.
I think Bath are onto something at the moment. From what I've heard of players there, is Van Gra. Was that right?
Yeah, Van Gra.
Yeah, I think they are on something. Again, money seems to help. But very, very talented group of players. Apparently his the culture and the way he conducts himself and his honesty and himself as a personality ripples through the club. Players are performing. It does seem to be a successful factory at the moment. So it's enjoyable to watch those boys play at the moment. They look good.
Honesty is the big one, like you said. You're talking about clarity. Clarity is king, and that comes from honesty, and that's what I've heard about Bath as well. The honesty, even apparently he stands up in a meeting that they're talking about selection, and he'll openly say, this guy's not playing because of X, Y, and Z, and this guy's now playing instead. And they're all in the room and talking about it. And it's out in the open. You know what's going on. I'm sure they've had the private conversations as well, but that clarity and honesty.
And be aware. Again, I think it takes that time when you say, for example, a captain of a side, a coach just has a go at you, sometimes the captain, as a senior player, it could the coach come to you and go, listen, I'm going to do you in front of all the lads because it's important that they see you getting done. Those kind of conversations are important. When you get ambushed, you're a bit like, what the fuck? That can be quite difficult. I think with having that open communication so everybody knows, that's great. And I think, but you still got to remember that even if you get close to that perfection of ownership, there will still be players that will not like not being selected and will be uncomfortable and will have to leave or whatever. So there is never a perfect recipe. But I think for the most part, you're going to get honesty, clarity, understand why you're doing stuff. There was times when I went to clubs where I was doing shit and I was like, why the fuck am I doing it? I trained with Margot for, slightly less than Brownie, but I trained with them for my early career, and we would be coming in and she'd be like, why are you doing that? And I'd come to fitness trainers like, why am I doing this? And they couldn't answer it. They said, well, because you've got a block of conditioning, because we can't let you go home. I was like, why? Because you've got to do it. But why? Because you've got to do it. It's like, there was no fucking science to it. And that's the point about rugby, is that if you're not working all the time, full bore, going, you're not stressful, people feel like you're not working. And actually, when I retired, it took me ages to understand that you could do a training session where you didn't throw up in a bucket, or you didn't have to go full bore. You could do a session where you came out of it and it was just working a different energy system. And there was loads of things that we didn't have. And it for an elite sport, it is still very backward in that sense. And I think it's amazing now you've been out of it, how much you see.
Talk about energy systems. Like if you're constantly pushing that stress, it's going to drain you. We're playing such a long season as well. We're not like the NFL who play a few months. Like we are, 11 months?
It's a long grind.
It's a long grind to keep constantly stress. But what I would say about Eddie, I know, I've bagged him a little bit, but he was an absolute fucking genius in terms of tactically, technically, his sessions on the field, like the way he prepared us in terms of being ready, the way he could constantly, it was like he could see what was happening in the game to then evolve his teams, like genius in terms of that.
It's really interesting. What's falling out of this is just, I suppose, probably how difficult it is to run coach a team. In this era. Can I ask you about, therefore, the current England setup? So you're a massive fan of Steve as an assistant coach, and you had him for England and the Lions. All of your old teammate, Ben Youngs, has got a book out at the moment in which he's pretty critical of Steve Borthwick and the way that he ran, I think certainly the way that Ben slotted in at Leicester, and then how Ben's time with England finished up. Do you empathise and understand what Ben is saying? Would you agree or disagree with?
He's a numbers and kind of data man, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't veer too far from that. I think the emotional side of it and how you kind of connect with people is not his thing. Like, he's very scripted, and when he talks to you, he likes to kind of have something in his head, it sounds like, to talk to you about. Like, he's not good at having conversations off the cuff is the feeling I get with him. So, but what he is good at, I think, is getting people around him to kind of offset those weaknesses.
Which I was going to lead on to the appointment of Lee Blackett as part of his England
and he's had
side, who I
Alan
think is probably
Waters
very good at
before.
that
He's
before.
had Sinfield before, which did you have him at Leicester, Sinfield?
Yeah,
Or
and
in
England, yeah.
And
Someone like that who you can kind of connect with on the emotional level a bit more is what it seems to me. You'll know better than me, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
With Steve, he was honest with me, as tough as it was, and my experience with Steve was good. But I can understand it's hard to keep everybody happy all the time. It's a very, very difficult job, and something none of us really fancy doing. But just thinking back to my last point on like performance and coaching and programs, like you look at a team and the demographic of a team. Let's say you've got 30 boys, you've got 10, 20, 10, 25, 10, 30. Some boys playing, some boys not playing. Some boys play off the bench. Some boys do 80 minutes every week, and everybody seems to do the same schedule. So that's always, I've always seen that as something that could be revisited or looked at, because no one program can surely meet all the needs of these players. We've got different shapes, sizes, ages, energy levels. Some
it's even like fitness testing.
Yeah, fitness testing. Like
So what used to be the RFU fitness test, everyone did it. Now it's the Bronco, everyone does it, and it's not even that applicable to rugby. And then things like that.
Yeah, and I just think to who's doing it a bit better and a bit different. Like you look to the NFL, and they treat veterans very different to rookies. A lot of them have like you guys did, had their own personal trainer, their own physio, and I think we're starting to see that in rugby. A lot of people are investing more in their recovery. They want an ice bath and a sauna at home. I've gone off site for training, and so like I think ultimately player freedom and responsibility for them to get themselves into good shape, and then just have the clarity and the training, and you'll be judged on how you play at the weekend.
So are you saying, therefore, as a trio, as someone who left the game 5 years ago, 3 months ago, who's still playing, that at the top of the game it is being run badly, or do you have empathy for? Because all three of you have said, I've got no interest in going into coaching. I couldn't possibly fathom why and how you would live your life in that level of stress. Do you, as someone who's recently
I wouldn't
retired,
be a coach. I wouldn't be a coach, but I would very much be that general manager, sport director role, which supports a coach,
right?
And then is helping create that environment. The culture is one of the strands of a sporting director or general manager, is what they call it, rugby and American sports. So I'm not just sat here going, you know, the coaches are rubbish and the environment's crap. I wouldn't.
But are you saying it's being done incorrectly according to the players of today?
I don't know what everyone's doing, but it does seem it's very
But you've had three clubs.
Yeah. I think there can be a better balance. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I think it can be better. I think it needs to evolve and adapt to what people need, to people's needs now, what high performance should look like now. Look at other sports, what they're doing, what environments they're creating, looking at individuals and what we've got in the game, all that sort of thing. Like you said, like how can you have someone train a certain way and then exactly the same for another person who's completely different body shape? You know, how can you have such generic training methods and schedules and standardized across the whole league? Like,
I think there's space to innovate. And it's going to take courage to go against the status quo, because rugby is very much a culture of hard work, more tougher, stronger, fast. These old values, and it's going to take some breaking of the mold. And it's not that they're getting it wrong now, because when I was 25 and under, all my needs were fulfilled. I needed it. I loved every second, more this, that, and then once I started getting a little bit older, I'd do a full pre-season. I'd come into pre-season fast, good shape, lean, and then I just finished the pre-season, all of those things, but knackered and sore. So I didn't really get anything out of a pre-season because I was at a level of conditioning of a senior player. But yeah, it's just performance conversation, and there's always space to innovate and improve. Games are getting tougher. Training schedules are very demanding. I think
budgets are getting more demanding.
I just think there's space for individualization, but it's a tricky balance, because then you think, special treatment, why is he not doing this, and bickering. So it's very, very difficult. I haven't got necessarily an answer, but I looked at the biggest game in the world, and a lot of those guys have a lot more freedom and independence in managing themselves.
It's like the other season we had a pre-season that was like 4 or 5 months long or something. I think it was on the World Cup or something. And it was like by the end of it, we were absolutely knackered. Whereas you look at American football, they all do their own pre-season individuals.
The vets are different. They come in at different times.
They come in different times, but most of them do individual training, and then they come in and they're straight into like prepping the kind of the strategy of how they're going to play and the moves, running the moves and stuff like that. Why are we not doing the same? Like, why are we knackering players by the start of the season?
Old habits die hard.
John, I think for me, if you look at, I think the hard thing is that you build up. Like if you look at like Olympic rowers or special forces guys and everything else, we get to a certain point, you need to build up a tolerance and a resistance, and you need to find out what people are about. And obviously you look at special forces, they have their selection, they go through it, and then the really training starts. And the reason they're so good is that they come back and revisit skills over and over again until it becomes muscle memory, and they work and they develop, and as they go through, they're taken care of and managed a bit better. I think there's definitely an element of that. There's no way that you can't shy away from hard work and at times all having to go to the well to find out what you're about, to test yourself. I think that is an important element of sport. I've seen players that were all taught, all bravado, that's great white hope. You took them to the fucking wall and they disappeared and they weren't there and they bottled it and they folded it. You only know that when you've put them there. Yeah. So you have to get a balance right. It can't all be, but it's that what Brownie said. You know, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, which sounds like a fucking cliche, but you have to know that, you know, you've got to push yourself, have to have standards, but it cannot be all the time 100%. Yeah. You've got to fluctuate, you've got to dip, and players are at different positions in their careers. They need to be looked after as individuals with a common goal. So I'd say rugby is awful at it, really, if I'm honest with you. But some teams, the teams that get it right, are the ones that consistently win. The teams that will never do it, fail to do it, and when the pressure comes on, everyone just infights, and then everyone just starts worrying about their job and their livelihood, which is very natural as humans, and that's why it falls apart.
This absolutely, funny enough, wasn't the show I thought we were going to do, but I think it has been absolutely fascinating, and I still want to talk about your England career, but if listening to you, it sounds like at the top of the game, there is so much pressure to run these clubs, these teams nowadays, that it makes a very difficult environment to stay true to yourself when the pressure comes on. And from what you're saying, it also sounds a little bit like the voice of the players is still not nearly loud enough. I mean, there's that a sort of anecdotal story that in the week before England won the Rugby World Cup in 2003, Martin Johnson went to Clive Wood and said, enough, we're not doing any more training, we're going to have cups of coffee, we're going to lie on the beach, we're ready. And Clive accepted that. And when it came to the absolute crunch in the 200th minute of whatever it was of the game, that's not right, but you know what I mean, England still had enough to get over the line. I find it baffling that you're running shuttles on a Tuesday before Rugby World Cup in 2019. But it's very interesting that, I mean, you do want to go into it, but lots of the players who are there in the here and now have no interest in potentially stepping into that space.
The other thing
to
to mention about rugby that I've given up on trying to find the answer for is that I don't know a game with as many uncontrollables and variables, i.e. weather, bounce of a ball, referees, decisions. Yeah. Just crazy stuff happens in every game you watch.
Interpretation.
Like, and then, so then you talk about doing the right thing. And I used to keep myself up. Like, I'm not going to eat a biscuit all week because that's going to make me wrong. Like, and then I don't touch the ball all game. Yeah. And I've eaten a biscuit.
15 a day.
Yeah, do you see what I mean? So you can do it's a head screw. Yeah. It's an enigma code. Like, you think you get the answer right one week, and it's you play one game one week. The game is completely different for what you are the next week. So it's I don't even want to enter the headache of trying to solve rugby.
But that's what. Do you know what the thing is though? I think if you looked at that, it's because you've got 15 players on the field with all 15 individual needs, beliefs, and everything else. If you don't put time into that mental side of it, like with Eddie, we did scenario training, bits and pieces. We did as much as any England coach has ever done on that mental side to get us all on board, and then you lose that massive fluctuation. You'll still have it, but you've got 15 players. Some of them are upset with their missuses, some of them have got problems, some have got money problems, some of them are injured, some of them are tired, some of them are fucked off, all the other things going, some of them are being bagged by the media, and you know, you've got a different opposition. Putting those variables is hard, but if you can put something in to manage the mental space, you would bring the margin of inconsistency down. But it doesn't happen like that.
But you were talking about the fact that all players in this day and age are pretty much as strong as each other. But is that true? Yeah. Which leads us nicely onto our Continental Tyres grip strength challenge. Which of our guests this season will have the strongest grip? Peter O'Mahony, top of the leaderboard. Jonny, do you want to go first?
Yes.
Have you turned it on? He's gone big. He's gone big.
It's just a technique, is it?
Jonny, mate, he's gone puce. He's gone red. Jesus.
73.9. I'm going to have
Oh my God, Jonny May's gone top.
Oh my
I did
God,
not
Jonny
see that
May.
coming.
He's about to pass out.
Are you right? I think he has gone.
I think okay.
Are you right?
I liked that feeling, lightheadedness.
Jonny
I gave
May
that
goes
full
top.
beans.
I did
Full
not see
beans.
that
Full
coming.
beans, yeah.
Are you
I need a
nervous,
piss
Mike, at this
now.
point? Yeah, you are. He's flexing the collars and everything. 73.9
And I'm
kgs.
guessing that's in kilograms per
so.
second.
Mike, this is
Brownie
where reputations
is
are
wanting-
made.
He just don't want to.
Peter O'Mahony is going to be very disappointed.
Brownie is
So that's
stressed.
just,
It's
Are
that
you ready?
judgment.
Brownie's my biggest
Are you
stress.
ready? Make sure it's on.
Stress.
Make sure it's on. Make
I
sure
need
you're
a
happy
piss
with
now.
the
You're
result.
happy, right?
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah.
Go. Keep going.
Yes.
62.7.
He's
I'll
scrambled
take that.
above Pano, just about. Jonny May goes top of the Continental Tyres Grip Strength Challenge leaderboard, and Mike Brown avoids total humiliation.
Do I win a tyre?
We can see we could get you one tyre.
Yeah, I'd like a tyre.
Which wheel are you going to
tractor
put on?
tyre.
You need a tractor tyre.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that might be beyond Continental, but we'll come back to you on that. What was your relationship like playing together? Peas from different pods.
Oh, God.
Peas from
Letters at
different
opposite
pods.
ends of the alphabet.
No, like
We had a rough relationship, didn't we?
Let's play.
Ups and downs.
ups and downs. Like I drive him mad in training sometimes. Games, but then like there's certainly games where we brought the best out of each other. There's respect that we have for one another. We both played some really good rugby for England. We won games, we lost games. There's Eddie to deal with. There's lots to deal with.
Did you find him quite intense to play alongside?
No, I enjoyed playing with Brownie. It was different sometimes the training with Brownie and playing against Brownie. But then once you get on the pitch with Brownie, you know what you're getting.
Is that because he fucked you off because of, say, for example, with chip and chase or go and do something that you would want to be more controlled? What was it razzed up?
I was intense. I was intense as a player, right? So I would want, as a fullback as well, being that kind of leader as the back three. You'd want certain things, certain way, but you can't get in the head of someone like this in the nicest possible way because he is a free spirit. He's got that physical ability to be able to do things that I would never be able to do.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think he knows he's doing half the time. But then there was, I think, especially early on in Jonny's career, it was around like the positioning and tactical and technical awareness.
I was very raw, raw coming in.
So it's kind of controlling that.
You were the rag of your generation.
Yeah, I was
doing rogue shit.
I was raw. Like Brownie would be going unders, I'd be going overs. Like I was very raw when I came in. But yeah, we definitely were a part of a team that got something going. And Brownie was a big part of that.
I was blessed with some unbelievable wingers. Like
also
the list you said that earlier, Jack Knoll, Watson, Daly, like.
And also, it was never your fault when you made a mistake.
No,
either, if you remember.
yeah.
So that,
Of course.
Read me, bro. Read me. You gotta fucking be there, John. It's like, Brownie, you just pass the ball into touch. No, I didn't miss that
That's
tackle.
impossible because I never passed.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah.
What do you want to say about when your dad shouted from the
my
crowd?
dad.
Yeah, that
this
caused
is
me a lot of
it caused me a lot
Do
of
you
stress.
remember this? Yeah.
So it was like obviously all the parents and friends and family sit together in the game, and my dad's been heard standing up saying, "Pass my son the ball."
Obviously, someone like Dylan Hartley gets hold of this and it goes around everyone.
And then it's just, I'm hearing that on the bus, pass my son the ball. No. And Brownie's hating it because it's directed at Brownie. I'm hating it because it's my dad.
Because you didn't like it. To be fair, I'm the same. I'd always bite on everything. Like people always go, "Why'd you bite? Why'd you care?" I go, "I bite like a shark. Come at me. I'm fucking gonna come at you." Right? But you'd hate because again, I think you're in your own head a lot of the time. You didn't want to let that down. You just didn't like it. Like,
no, I didn't feel comfortable in those environments at the best of times. In terms of, I just wanted to keep myself to myself. I didn't want to be
so someone's dicking out the attention's on you.
And I was the same. I didn't want.
So yeah,
I just wanted to go under the radar in a test week. And Brownie was so like, it's my dad. I'm embarrassed about what my bloody dad said. Keep your mouth shut, please. You're around everybody's friends and family. Brownie's taking it as my dad's criticised his game and taking it personally. But that's one of those things you look back now. And it's just very
it got
funny.
worse though. It got worse. The 11 stitches you caused me in my knee
Yeah,
the
that
day
was-
before
yeah.
a test match.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Was it? Was I
beginning
tackling
to
we're
unravel
doing
the
the tracky
tracky
stuff.
stuff. I'm worried that we're
Guys,
turning
you
on
always
in
make
each
us do
other.
one-on-one
Yeah.
tracking stuff. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Right, and
I
did
trick
you, and I scored in the corner, and I was just putting the ball down. And he thought, right, I'm going to put a shot on him here. Put me a shot on me. My knee went into the hole where you normally would put a corner flag, which is made of metal. 11 stitches later, my thing's flapping off. I'm having to wear this pad to play against in a test match against Samoa or something.
But didn't that offset with all the Vaseline you covered your legs with? No one could tackle you. So I don't think it really
No, I look like this old school rugby player with a flipping knee pad.
there's nothing worse than that knee.
All because of this idiot.
I remember
So you can imagine how
times-
fuming I was.
He was fuming at me for that. But I remember times where, like Brownie said, when he said about he's trying to get his way into the team, so he's training at 110%, and then there's people thinking you're sabotaging the session.
Yeah.
And I was that guy for 18 months when I was like, I was playing as if I was more than a game, like not dying on a cause, doing stupid stuff, wiping people out, sprinting into buggy carts, all sorts of crap. To show that over trying,
chipping and chasing,
chasing lost causes, over trying because I was trying so hard, and then I'd end up taking out Brownie's leg or wiping out something or doing something stupid.
But that's again, like you see that with guys who go and compete. You know, you'd say to someone like, right, Tom Curry, you're going to be in a session, go and compete. He'd steal a ball. Coach would go, why the fuck you let him steal a ball? He'd go for a ball. Someone would go and fucking clear him out, pop a shoulder. I don't know who, I remember that was at session. It was Underhill or somebody. Again, he's over the top of a ball. One guy goes, he's fucking on the ball. And a guy just, boom, hits him, shoulder out, boom. You're like, what didn't need to happen? But it's like, you can't say to a player, you're not good enough, you're not training. He's training the fucking house down wanting to prove himself. You then can't have a go at the lads for not doing their job.
Those England sessions,
well,
though,
I'm training, I'm probably not in the team. So just trying to show and these guys are looking after themselves for the next day.
But also going pretty hard as well, because we want to learn.
It's a recipe for conflict.
What has been so much fun about this is it's been not the show I ever thought it was going to be, but it's been fabulous watching the three of you almost go at each other.
But I like the honesty, though.
I love it.
I do again, because I said earlier, like, I do find it hard sometimes, particularly when we've done this podcast, done it now for such a long time. I think we can always be honest and open without verbally like coming at people. Like, I hope I've never had any enemies. There were games where I'll say, I thought, like we said, Tom Curry, maybe I thought your man from Wales should have started. Jack Morgan. I thought Jack Morgan should have started. I thought he was the best player on tour for that period of time. Got it wrong, turn around and say Curry was absolutely sensational, put my hand up. So you get moments like that, but without digging people out. But actually, I do like it if you do have the ability to play and go, I was raw and I was training too hard. And I think that for me is a really kind of nice thing to be.
Now we're going to take a quick break, Dream Team, to tell you about Huel, because when you're out and about and you need a decent meal that ticks all of the boxes, this right here is what you should grab.
These ready-to-drink bottles give you a complete meal with 35 grams of plant-based protein and 26 essential vitamins and minerals. Just chill it, shake it, and you've got something delicious and nutritious. And to be honest with you, I live on these a lot of the time because I'm in my car always driving somewhere. Every time anyone calls me, like, where are you? Every service station I stop at, if I haven't been able to eat or had a proper meal, I'll always smash a Huel. They come in cans, powders, or pre-mixed like this. Some flavors include strawberry and banana, chocolate and vanilla, all really tasty. So next time you're reaching for an unhealthy meal, grab one of these instead.
Their meals are designed by expert nutritionists to give you fast, nutritious, complete food. Go to huel.com/GBR for £10 off when you spend £60 or more, and you can thank us later. Can we very quickly, some headlines heading into the autumn. I think Austin Healy said on one of the TNT games, was the Bath Sale game, that he thinks George Ford starts at 10 come the first of the autumn nations. Given that Finn Smith was on the Lions, and Farrell was on the Lions, and Smith was on the Lions, who are you going to pick at 10?
It's interesting, isn't it?
You've got a particular affinity with George.
Yeah, George is a very close friend of mine, so I'm biased. But it is interesting.
He ran it brilliantly in Argentina.
Yeah, but it's just interesting how there's just so many very, very good players, isn't there? And a different coach and different circumstances. Different players are in different spots and get opportunities, and some don't. And that's just another complexity of rugby. But for me, I think what George did out in Argentina, you can't underestimate that. Argentina beat the Lions. Argentina have been very competitive in the Rugby Championship. To go out there with that young team and lead them the way they did, the attack looked great. He was immaculate. I personally do think George should start, but there is also an argument, and there's a lot of respect for how brilliant a player both the Smiths are. But what I would like to see is there's 2 years now to a World Cup. It can't be Ford misses a kick and then he's dropped. It can't be Smith loses 2 games in the autumn and then he's do you know what I mean? It has to be right. It's sort of like, what does Steve's backline look like? And let's ride it through now.
So if you are looking at 2027, then surely Finn Smith is the man you've got to get the keys to,
I think Ford definitely goes to the World Cup.
Why would you not give it to 40? You're just basing that on age, aren't you?
Yeah, basing on age, yeah.
If you didn't know how old he was and you saw what he did in the summer and then you're seeing what he's doing now at the start of the Premiership,
incredibly.
Yeah. Do you think he can maintain that for another 2 years?
Why not?
Yeah, I do. I think the sort of player he is, yes.
Okay.
But also, but
then it's his to lose, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
but also, there's an old belief that there's a good saying, if you let the old man in, if everyone tells you you're old and you are old, and the perception is that you don't play at that age, then you can't play at that age. But why?
And look at what
Tom
Sexton,
Brady went on to a fucking football.
Tom Brady and then Sexton with Ireland, they were the best in the world.
So my question, therefore, and to go back, if Finn Smith ran the England team during the Six Nations and England went quite well, France, Scotland. Does that surpass or fall behind what George did with England and Argentina?
Only Steve can answer that question.
Well, no, I'm asking your opinion.
I think, again, I'm biased and I respect that he's such a great young player, Finn Smith. But I personally start George and give him the team to do what he does, which is just manage it and bring the best out of the players around him.
They were so much better against Argentina than they were.
And is that George Ford or is that Lee Blackhead?
I think it's a bit of both, yeah. And knowing Fordy, he would have grabbed hold of that team and led that team. He would be the massive catalyst of that. He would have been controlling a lot of that alongside collaborating with Lee Blackett, 100%.
Is it becoming a problem for England that they have now got 4 people who can potentially run it from 10 if you include Owen being back with Saracens?
It's a good problem. But
when does it become a bad problem?
If
they all get injured.
Exactly what you were saying. When
if it's reactional, if it's Ford misses a kick or Smith misses a tackle, and then you chop and change. It needs to be these, like we said, honesty from a coach. This is where you are. This is my plan for 2 years. This is where you sit. This is my plan for you. And give teams and give players that, like I look at how, for instance, Freddie Stewart. I have a lot of empathy for him. How can he possibly perform at his best when he's been in and out of that team like a yo-yo, without clarity, on eggshells? Must have been incredibly difficult for him to perform at his very best, from England Player of the Year a few years ago to in and out, and then a perception and an injury. He's in for a game, he's out for a game, and then there's a judgment, and then he's out there and he's in his own head. Whereas he was playing some fantastic rugby. It just needs to be. It's time for consistency and giving players some clarity.
Okay, so Alex Mitchell at 9. Would you disagree with that?
No.
Would you both go George Ford at 10?
Yeah.
Would you move Tommy Freeman into 13?
I can see that happening, yeah.
And so your 12 would be
Ollie Lawrence.
You go Ollie Lawrence. So then pick me a back 3. Let me throw out some
pulling
names.
your face there, Brandon. What do you think?
No?
Yeah, I don't know about Freeman at 13 yet.
The reason for it is that we're just so much. We got much talent on the
back
wings.
3.
And of all the.
And there's Ollie at 12. I feel like he's better when he plays 13. He plays 13
so
for...
Dingwall had a
he did.
real influence in the Six Nations.
Yeah.
Okay, you can disagree. So you'd go Lawrence Freeman. What would you do?
Play players where they used to playing. So Lawrence at 13 he seems a better player when he's there.
Okay.
In my opinion. But then who are you going to have at 12? Yeah.
I'd go Dingwall. If he goes Lawrence,
there's not that many
I go Dingwall.
Outstanding England 12s, is it? We've always had a problem. That's why they've always had to go back to Manu.
Yeah.
It's like, who do you play at 12? And then maybe it's a guy like that who's kind of like the glue player. Yeah, then I keep Freeman on the wing because he's just so strong on the wing.
Faye Boso, Slightholme, Will Muir, Caden Murley. Mm-hmm. Who else are you putting on?
I mean, you've got to add Haskell Collins into that mix. You've got to add
Radwan into that. Would you put Radwan into the England context now?
I would. He's just this X factor.
Arundel come back. It's not. It's so tricky.
No.
Why?
I think he's a brilliant player. I just don't think he's above them in terms of nuts and bolts international level.
Okay.
And I'd like to see him earn it a bit more behind like Haskell Collins, who's had an unbelievable season for Leicester in what everyone says wasn't a great attacking team, but he's top try scorer. Radwan, who's got X factor beyond anyone else. who is worth getting in and see if they can work on his skills. You know, these top coaches in our country, if they can't.
Is Radwan's X factor above Arundel's X factor?
I'd say so,
Because
they're all similar.
I'd say, yeah, they're both of the X Factor players. Those guys, the same as Zam.
I think he deserves it, Radwan.
Yeah,
I think he's like. I think
okay,
he's deserved
so
it for
pick
the
us
last
your
couple
back
of
three
years.
then. You're the specialist in this area.
Well, to start,
Yeah,
we'll Bosu on one wing, Freeman on the other, and then fullback's the hard one.
I don't know. Yeah,
Stewart,
I go different ways.
Stewart, I
Daly.
think, because he did well in the summer.
Yeah, what man in Argentina?
Daly, is he fit?
Well, he's got his obviously fractured his arm, didn't he, on the lines? But I imagine he'll be pretty close.
Daly's
Yeah.
in the 23.
Yeah, I have to say Daly's like.
He's in the 23.
It's weird saying it because he's so far in his career. He's been around for years, but like the way he's developed as a fullback from when he kind of took my spot with England, like he's done an incredible job. Last season at 15, I thought he should be starting at 15 for England. I thought he was incredible.
Yeah.
So if he's fit,
Furbank,
he'd come in there.
Yeah.
Furbank won't be fit, will he?
I'm
look
quite certain he'll go with Theo Boso and Roebuck on the wings.
We haven't mentioned
starting the autumn, but I would like to see Radwan in the squad and given a chance because of the X factor that he's got.
Is this?
I have to start with Roebuck. Like he's a brilliant player. Like, but you cannot tell me he is above Ollie Haskell-Collins in any wing play, positional play, kicking game, under the high ball, any part of the wing. Like those two, their game is.
Do you have any stats, Tom?
So I think that's really interesting because
And he's top try scorer. I just don't understand it.
You know 1,000,000% more than I ever will. But I think Roebuck has looked so comfortable at international level in the Six Nations. Cardiff, phenomenal performance. Went really well in Argentina.
Do we want comfortable?
Well, when you come back to the point that Hask was making about players who step up to that level and feel comfortable relative to those who step up and don't, I would say that Roebuck looks really comfortable at that level.
But we haven't tried Hassel recently, have we?
Okay.
Haskell-Collins.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's again like not everybody can play, and it's similar to when my time with England playing on the wing. If you look at the players that were around me, Anthony, Elliot, Jack, Christian Wade, Marlon Yard, Denny Solomon, like we can't all play.
No.
So it's just it's the opportunity, and it's how things unfold. Who's fit, who's in form, who gets picked, who has a game that gives them the opportunity, who takes their opportunity, and like the list. That's why for me Freeman maybe goes into 13 just because there's so many amazing wingers, and it will come down to a coach's opinion.
Yeah, I'm biased as well. I was with
coach's opinion. Who can stay fit? Who takes their opportunity? And then, like I said, Steve will start thinking now. I'm going to draw it in and back some guys, and that's just how it falls.
It's like not even trying your top goal scorer in football for England. Like,
yes,
he's the top try scorer last season in an attack that everyone knows isn't the best at Leicester, and he still scored the most tries. So why would they not give him a chance?
Because I think the point you made there about taking your chance is. It counts against Ollie Haskell-Collins.
And he's a Steve Borthwick player. He's big, he's strong, his aerial skill. Yeah.
But then aerial skills, Haskell-Collins just as good in the aerial.
Yeah.
Speed.
Yeah. But he's come in. Yeah, he's come in and
strength.
Roebuck has come in and done it under Steve. And Haskell-Collins did come in, and it was a couple of crappy games. It was. I felt sorry for
Haskell-Collins. Take him on tour.
No, I'm not saying Haskell-Collins had a crap game. I'm saying that he ended up playing in a game where he didn't get the opportunity to shine.
In my career, for example. I played a couple of times for England. 2007, 2008 was stinking, terrible, not even close. A few years later, get my chance again. So there's something around that maybe in my head. I think second chance after a certain amount of time.
I do agree
and you're
with
top scorer in the league, and you've not gone on tour. But he could have played against, was it America?
I say that I'd like to see Haskell-Collins and Radwan get. I don't think they will, but I do think they deserve it. And again, it's just not who's better than who. We've listed so many brilliant, fantastic wingers. And
You'd love to know why.
Who'd be a head coach, hey?
Yeah, we'd love to know what is it we don't see, or what do they don't trust. Mm-hmm. That's the bit we'll never know. What is it out there's players that he doesn't like? Like what is it he saw in Ollie Haskell-Collins' first game that he was so alarmed about that he didn't give him another opportunity?
Yeah, Radwan's a different one because he's got loads
he hasn't
of
played
development.
He's the only one out of that list who hasn't played under Steve yet as well.
Who, Radwan?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a kind of different one where I just think he's got so much X factor. Let's get the best coaches in our country, supposedly, to work on him a bit in a camp. maybe not necessarily play to start with, but it's worth taking a punt and getting him in and having a look and seeing if they can develop his game more, which has already started to happen at Leicester, I think.
I've seen a huge improvement in Redman's game. Yeah.
Whereas Ollie Haskell, I feel, is ready to go.
Really good to have you on because of your forthright opinions. I know you were writing a very good column in the Daily Mail. You're not doing that so much anymore.
Nah, they don't want me anymore.
No,
Fresh.
But that sort of leads back to you in some ways, which, I mean, Mr. Angry was the persona. Is that how accurate is that to the character you were as
a little bit. I think it was just a character that I needed to get into to get the best out of myself, but also, like, I just cared a lot and I played with a chip on my shoulder and I wanted to always prove people wrong. I was desperate to win for my team. I just wanted to achieve.
You've had a few spats along the way, Eddie Jones, Ben Teo, etc. Did you look back at any of that and think, oh God, or do you think that's who I was, it's how I did it, I've got no regrets?
No, I only wish I was a bit more myself with Eddie. I think I went into my shell more and more. I became more and more reserved, even though I am quite reserved introvert anyway. Even more so, took myself away from the environment, which wasn't a good optics to everyone else. I think they just thought maybe I was just sulking about not getting selected and stuff. And there was an element of that. Like, I'm not perfect. Everyone's human, right? I was upset and stuff, but my approach to that was just, oh shit, I need to take myself away from the environment and just keep my head down and not say anything and just turn up the train and try even harder. And then people sort of thought, I think, that I was trying to ruin sessions and stuff, which it wasn't the case. So I found that time incredibly tough. But I wish I'd just been myself been a bit tougher with Eddie and say, this isn't right, the way what you're saying, or come back at him a bit more and not just let him.
But you did that and it blew up, didn't you?
No, I didn't. So I didn't. What blew up was him trying to use the Ben Teo thing as a reason to not take me to the World Cup, which clearly wasn't the case. It was obvious it was going to happen, but I just stuck in there until the very last selection. And then he rung me and tried to say it was because of that. I then went back at him and said...
Didn't you not come in back... Didn't it happen and then you just didn't come back in at all?
Well, that was the selection. So we did the pre-season trip to Treviso.
Yeah.
And then off the back of that, he selected the team, the squad.
I actually do think that if that hadn't have happened, you and Ben Teo would have gone.
I wasn't going. Teo would have gone. I was not going.
Roy McConaughey?
So they were going instead of me. Him, Cockney Singer, and Jack Noel, who hadn't trained because he was injured, went.
I think
I wish I was tougher. Went back in a bit more, still in a respectful way, like I did on the phone call when he said about Ben Teo, and that's when it blew up.
If you saw Eddie now, hug, handshake, head down, walk by.
I don't know. Fucking fill him in. No, can't get in trouble anymore, can I? So
Fill him in.
I don't know. I don't think I would be.
Now that you've retired,
I'm not very good at faking it.
Right.
I'm not a good faker in terms of body language, facial expressions, being someone's mate if I think not that highly of them. So I would struggle. If he then came to me and said hello and stuff, I probably would be like, hi mate, but I wouldn't be that.
So it is done and dusted. Now that you've retired, it's not like it was. No.
He has no impact on my life. He has no value to me in terms of, not in a nasty way, but the only people I care about what they think and how they're going to be with me is my family, really.
Yeah.
So he has no, I'm not in the game anymore. So he has no power on me.
Sure. If you saw Ben Teo now?
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one. I don't know. He's the type of guy who would move on quite quickly for those sorts of things. So it'd be on me. And I think, it's been done. I think ultimately it affected him worse than it affected me in terms of costing him his place, I think. Right. So, it was just an unfortunate incident that shouldn't have happened. But I think
you've spoken about the past, but just to recap for those who haven't heard the story, it was a pre-World Cup.
It was one of them. We had a social, and I'm not a big drinker, so I had a couple. But he is a big drinker. He's not great on the piss, and he had seen something that Maro had done to me early on in the afternoon, which basically Maro was also not a very good drunk. Had leant over and he was doing this to quite a lot of people. Smacked me like here, and I had no top on. We were on the beach, like
on the chest.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't there. No,
I was.
You were there. And then I just took him to a side. I was like, "Look, mate, I don't appreciate that. Like, just don't do it again." Like, not in a bad way. And he was like, "Oh, sorry." He was drunk, and he kind of went off, and that was it. But then Teo being the wind-up merchant when he's drunk, and I don't know if he had another issue with me or whatever. He was then trying to do it a few times.
He would have relished off the fact that you didn't like it.
Yeah, he relished that sort of thing. And then he tried to do it once and kind of fell over and knocked all the drinks over. And actually, Joe Marchant, credit to him, at the time stood up and went, Tio, what the fuck are you doing? Like, just leave him alone. He's not even affecting you. Just go away. Tio didn't like that, which wound him up even more because he's a young lad and he was sticking up for me. And then on the walk back from to the bus at the end of the social we had, Tio was in a group in front of me and we were walking and he's like going, I'm going to fucking fill him in, all this sort of stuff when we get on the bus. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, Tio, like, what's going on? Kind of like, probably not that relaxed as I am now, but a bit more like, mate, what the fuck's going on? Like, why are you doing that? Why are you saying that? And he's just seen red rag to bull, which I think he wanted.
Were you on the bus at this point?
No,
right?
we were like walking because it was a long walk, wasn't there? And I think for him that was it. That's the moment he wanted, and he just went boom, and he's very handy.
Yeah, he's fucking strong.
Luckily, he didn't catch me clean, but caught me there, and then everyone just piled in, and it was kind of over. So that was what happened.
It's a
and then
shame
obviously
that
Eddie heard about this, and then it led to the phone call about selection. So what he said to me was, you know, I can't accept this happening. The security that were there gave me the reports back and all this stuff. And I was like, hang on a minute. Like, I didn't do anything. I tried everything to avoid this situation. Asked Joe Marchant, et cetera, who I was with. Asked people walking back to the bus. Asked them, they'll tell you. And he was like, no, the reports I've had. And I was like, I want to see the reports. And he just went, boom. I can't even remember what he said, but he just effing and blinding and coming at me pretty strong.
But it does sound like, again, you know, I love Eddie, but it does sound like
being
an excuse.
challenged.
But also, it doesn't sound like an excuse because, you know, fights on team socials, these are not unusual things. And I think unless it involved a member of the public, you're pretty good at sorting it out, really. I mean,
the thing was, right, if there was people like you, probably Robbo, Danny, the guys that missed out, the experienced guys that we'd had early on were there, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Really?
I promise you that. It wouldn't have happened. The leadership guys who were your sort of friendship group, Faz, Fordy, had taken themselves out of this situation way before it even escalated, unfortunately, and kind of sat on the bus.
Yeah, as a team.
We were encouraged as a team to go and sit there.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to be there. Going back to how I was mentally at the time of being reserved, taking myself further away. I'd sat in my room for the whole 2 weeks we were in bloody, where was it? Treviso, which was a stinking place.
Yeah,
anyway.
as a team, it's a regret that happened within our team 200 metres from the bus. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it just didn't need to happen.
Also, it's not
I wish it. Do you know what I mean?
It was pathetic.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But that's
don't
what it
use
is.
it as an excuse to say you're going to drop me. That was my comeback.
And also, Ben, like, you know, again, two different personalities. Like Benny, you know, Ben and I've been mate. I love Brown, and he's a really good guy. He was a good team out. You know, alcohol does stuff to people. It's really 6.5. Even though you didn't do anything, what I mean is, it just isn't a thing.
Yeah.
And so I think the crux of it
didn't need to be a thing.
Didn't need to be a thing.
No.
It just should have just gone. I wouldn't have even had a report. You know, when two lads go out on the piss and don't come back to the hotel, and security's begging them to come back, and they didn't come back, and then and they're threatening to fucking fight everyone. That's an issue. When two guys kick fuck out of each other because of alcohol, it's not ideal. It's not what you want. It's not professional. But you know, some blokes are terrible on the piss. That's just what happens. And also, you remember, I always equate it's like alpha males. Everyone's always poking and picking and seeing. And it's like with dogs, you see, they run up with each other for 30 seconds and work out, are we going to have a fight? Sniff each other's ass, we're going to have a fight, or we're going to be mates. And you see it, and one minute they're fighting, one minute they're not. It's like rugby players. It's always about hierarchy, who's pushing who, and that's it's like a dominance thing. Slapping someone, winding someone up, seeing what you're doing. But again, it wasn't. For me, it was like a no incidence. When I heard it, if you punch a member of the public, then that's a problem. Punching each other, that's not an excuse not to take players to the World Cup. That's not a thing. That is I'm going to use that as a thing to not pick player without being really honest about it. I'd say.
I don't want to spend more time talking about that than what was an incredible career with England. And you mentioned the fact you made your debut against South Africa, by your own words,
stinking.
possibly before you were ready.
Yeah, but also I was in a team. To my defence, a little bit. I'm not one to make excuses, I don't think, but the RFU, they'd organised a tour at the same time as the first season we did the Premiership playoffs. Yeah. So we didn't have any of the top four players. So at the time, which was Wasp and Leicester were basically the England team. Yeah. So you can imagine how depleted we were, especially in the forwards. There was about 10 new caps.
Well, I was going to say, so alongside you, Dean Schofield, Matt Cairns, Darren Crompton, Roy Winters, Ben Skirving and Nick Abendon.
There you go.
Amazing guys. I wouldn't necessarily put too many of those other than you in the
And they went on
England
to win the World
camp.
Cup that season. that year.
Yeah.
2000, so you can imagine.
So the SA team included Percy Montgomery, Jean de Villiers, Brian Habana, Joan Smith, Skulberger,
Was that
Victor
when everyone
Matfield,
was ill
Bakis
as well?
Bota, John Smith, and Rasty
Yeah.
Erasmus was an assistant
Mate,
coach, and you had illness.
that was very ill.
Yeah,
Everyone
so
was
that
dying,
week-
and the doctor gave Strettle he was after paracetamol, gave him a sleeping pill by mistake. It's only because Dave Strettle didn't realise what it was.
He was close to dying, like genuinely. So he got ill around the Wednesday really badly, and they found him, I shouldn't laugh, lying by his bathtub in his hotel room, like passed out, and they then had to take him to the hospital. But I must have got it from him because I'd been hanging around with him all week because he was a Quinn's teammate.
Yeah.
And I got it the night before, so like day and a bit later, the night before the first test. So I was up all night, being sick and stuff like that.
Was it altitude as well? Not that one.
It was at altitude,
That's
yeah.
what I
But
mean,
we'd
you
been
mean-
there for a while. We'd
Yeah,
been there a
but
while, so we actually were right.
altitude hanging.
It was and the first carry I made was like this negative line on the other side of the ruck, which I'd done all season off Andy Gummersall, who was also playing that day for England. And I'd hit this line, I called for it, I got it. I was like, this is my moment. I see this massive gap. Boom. It was like literally hitting an oak wardrobe. But it was like, it was Bakis Botha and
Welcome to
Jean de
International
Villiers.
Rugby.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of one round my neck, one like lifting me up, and I was just on the floor, like dry. I had nothing in me. I'd not eaten anything, so I was like dry heaving. And it was Pasky, the physio, came on. I was like, "Brownie, you're alive."
You alive?
It was like literally. But then I got back in the year later for the summer tour again, New Zealand away.
Yeah.
That unbelievable team: Nonu, Carter, McCaw.
Was that one we went on
got
tour
pumped
there?
again?
To the two game tour.
That was 08.
one?
Yeah, 2 games.
Oh, 8, yeah.
Yeah,
That was a lively tour.
Mate,
Yeah,
that was a live tour. Didn't go well, but also
Yeah,
we
it
got
didn't go well.
absolutely pumped.
Yeah.
It was like mental.
Did
Yeah.
you
So got
find
pumped,
yourself?
hang on, we got pumped, got worse. Me, Stretz, Danny and Topsy on the front page of the Sun.
Yes.
All that rubbish. So couldn't got worse to start for me.
Yeah.
Not
Topsy
brilliant.
never played again. Never seen again. But rightly or wrongly. But
Yeah.
it was all made up bullshit. Handled very badly by the RFU again.
So how do you reflect on your introduction
Sure.
to international rugby?
Bad, very bad. I mean, what more can you say?
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah. And then you were out of the international game for 4 years or so.
Yeah,
Did
about 4
you
years,
think
yeah.
that was it? Did you think I've got enough about me? I will
Ups
find
and
my way
downs.
back.
So you obviously have those moments where you think that, there's no chance, and you're constantly pushing, banging at the door, pushing to get feedback and all that sort of thing. There was a time Ugo Monye played 15 over me. He's playing the wing at Harlequins with me. He's never played 15 in his life. I mean, he
That
didn't go that
very
well.
That was an
Didn't
Argentina
go
game,
well,
wasn't
but
it?
still, he's getting picked above me because they have no one else. And I'm there going, "Hi, I'm playing every week. We're actually doing all right."
Yeah.
as a Quins team. So then you have those moments where you're like, "This is not happening again." But I was just fortunate that the Saxons started. Stuart took over with the Saxons. They had no one else to bring in, so they brought me in. Had some games, and he saw what I was like, really, not what was perceived as me. What people perceived me as being. And then he took over with England and brought me back in. Again, it took time to get in, and there was frustrations there, but I think it just gave me actually time to get myself ready for that level.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I was.
Interesting when you say how tough a start it was, because you then became an ever-present. And I think I'm right. So you're the only England player who's ever been Six Nations player of the tournament, which is remarkable.
It's remarkable compared, when you think that Scotland, Wales and Ireland and every fucker
Ireland
hates us.
7,
Yeah,
Wales 5, France have had 4 players, Scotland have had 3, Italy have had 2 players as Six Nations player of the year.
Yeah.
And
But
England
no
have
one's
had
No
go.
one wants to vote for us.
And Parise?
yeah.
I think we've been Parise definitely. Was it Parise twice? Is that...
Menoncello.
Yeah, the centre.
Great
yeah.
stat.
So
Stan.
Parise and Menoncello.
So and that itself is remarkable. It's the same as England always finish the Six Nations away from home. I don't know how this happens. Anyway,
Well, we
let's
do.
not grumble about it.
Well, we do.
But at your very best, describe how comfortable you felt in that environment, and I suppose how proud you are now looking back on what you did with England.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm incredibly proud when I think about the start I had, and I had no right to get back in there after that long, and getting the opportunity and kind of, taking it as much as I could and winning something like that's nice. Because like we said, people don't like the English, so winning something like that is nice. But just winning the Six Nations with these players here, and being part of that history and tradition that I grew up watching from the age of 5 Nations back then, that kind of shows my age. But like being able to say you've been part of that, an England team that's part of that, to do that the way we did off the back of 2015 again, which was just like incredibly tough time. We were all getting hammered, weren't we? Like left, right, and centre. To go then a few months later and win, Grand Slam, which not many England teams get to do, which shows how tough it is to do.
We should have twice. We haven't lost to Ireland next season.
Yeah, but again, like it just shows we haven't won it that many times, the Grand Slam. But it's because it's everyone's final, really. Like they won't openly say it, but it is like everyone shows up to play England. So just to be part of all that, it's amazing to kind of reflect on.
And I think from my perspective, look at him as a player, just what competitor he was on the field, but also the greatest example of talking about people being massive and big and strong and powerful. One of the hardest people to tackle you'll ever have to deal with.
Really?
And that's the one thing I would always say to kids and parents when they always said to me, "Oh, my kid's not the biggest. Oh, he wasn't big enough. That's why the coach didn't pick him." I'm like, mate, just look at some of the players, the hardest players to ever tackle, when he was one of them. And he was big and strong and powerful and an athlete and obviously worked it, but not the biggest bloke in the world, just that bit, just you hit him, it's like hitting granite. And amount of times you break through tackles, that for me was a great example of somebody that, for kids out there, that look, if you work at your game, you're hard, you're an ultimate competitor, you're physical, and you train right, it doesn't matter how big you are. If you have that innate ability to break tackles, which you did, the world's your oyster, really, and size doesn't matter, because there were bigger people, but that doesn't make a difference.
I hope we'll get to do this again, actually, because it feels like there's a lot more to get into. But let's go.
Would you come back?
Yeah, you keen to come back? Good.
Get rid of him and put
Yeah, exactly.
No, but different strokes, just different strokes.
I quite enjoyed fusing the two of you together. I can see the friction and the
but
sort of
again,
the
different tools of the rank. We want calamity, carnage. We want serious. They don't invite me on. Want sensible. Get Brownie.
We've loved having you on.
Thank you.
You two, a little bit of making up to do post-match, but it's been a lot of fun. And
we're past that now.
We'd love to do it again if you're keen. I think it's been really interesting tour around the stories.
Yeah, look, and again, it's another tale of, as I said earlier in the show, didn't know what to expect. I think it's always a shame when it takes time when someone's retired to then suddenly go, really considered, really thinking, really articulate, very smart player. Not the competitor you'd see on the field or in interviews, but now you explain that why you would be like that. You'd want someone in his team like that, and actually, you could never question Brownie's the fact that he cared and wanted to win. Yeah. That's the point, and that I think people get uncomfortable with, and they think if he was a boxer or he'd been a UFC fighter, it would have been matched with trash talk. You would have been like that kind of bloke. It's not.
I think even if I hadn't been a fullback, I think people were a bit uncomfortable the way that I was playing as a fullback. Wasn't the normal done way. If I was probably a back rower or in the forwards of some sort.
And also because you look nice. Fine. You've got you started. You started shaving your head.
Were you ever tempted to grow like a massive floppy hair? Yeah, he's got grey hair.
Yeah.
So I grew it back just before lockdown and COVID, and then I got to COVID and I couldn't cut my hair anymore, so then I shaved it back and just left it. And my missus likes shaved head, so
got to keep
happy life,
happy life. Just before we finish, signed copies of our new book, The Good, the Bad and the Rugby Reloaded, are now available to pre-order at Waterstones. Details of how to order are on your screen right now, and they are also in the episode description box, as are the details of our tour, Hask.
Just on the book, we won Sports Book of the Year, first one. Don't want to go on about it, but we did. This book, I think, a completely different journey. Again, very, very different than what you might expect. Tim's told his kind of story in rugby. You've told kind of all the behind the scenes, what it's like to present from the other side of the foot. I've been through a whole weird life transformation since we last finished the book. So I think there's some real interesting stories and bits and pieces and some calamity. So you've got to check it out. And we are going on tour once again. The show, we love it. Obviously, we work with some amazing commercial partners. Have to think about what you say. Have to think about what you put out there. Tour, very different. Freedom to express even more deeper views and to be a little bit more rogue. So we are going on tour. The Lock-In Live is hitting these cities and towns: Warwick, Cardiff, Birmingham, Oxford, Reading and Guildford. We love meeting our fans. Most people who turn up to the shows haven't listened to podcasts. If you do listen to podcasts and you'd love to come and see a different thing and a different story, then please check it out and get the tickets. And eventually all the tickets or essentially all the tickets are available online. So check them out. They'll be in the description box as well.
Quick bottle of Black Kite for Mike as well. A reminder, everybody that buys a bottle, we contribute £1.50 to the Black Eye Rugby Fund, and we will be putting a chunk of change into the great cause that is now going to be set up by Lewis Moody. So we'll finish with thoughts with Lewis and his family once again. Thank you, as always, to our sponsors, Continental Tyres. Continental Tyres are the sponsors of the Continental Tyre Schools Cup, driving the next generation from the ground up. We're a folding pocket production, stats and facts provided by Russ Petty. Lovely to have you on, Jonny. Lovely to have you on, Mike. See you soon, Has.
Thank you.
This episode was produced by Tom Edwards. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.
We say produced.
You've been listening to The Good, Yay, The Bad, and The Rugby, Oof, with Alex Payne, James Haskell, and Mike Tindall. Thanks for listening.